In honor of my mother, Sally Fleschner's 70th birthday, those of us who love her very much decided to record short videos sharing our thoughts and reflections about what makes my mom so very special. Here's what we all had to say.
Happy 70th birthday, Aunt Sally, and I just want to say that it's great seeing you every year at the Cape, and this is my favorite part of the year, and I know that you helped organize it. And also it's great that you come visit us wherever we are in the world, and that's always a lot of fun. And I hope you can come back to Tanzania again soon. And by the time you see this, I'll have already visited you in Bosnia, and that I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So happy birthday.
Malcolm asked us to talk about the things that we admire about Sal, my oldest sister, and there's many things. But the things that came to mind for me, most importantly, or most, I don't know what the word would be, but is her sense of adventure, her courage, and her bravery. When she was 18, she went off to Mexico, lived with a family without being able to speak a word of Spanish. As Mother said, the only thing she knew to say was "ole," and came back speaking fluent Spanish. In fact, she spoke English with a Spanish accent by the end of a year. Then she went off to Bosnia and Afghanistan and seemed undaunted by the dangers that she faced. I think she has an ability to meet any challenge and surmount it without complaint. She started law school and a career as a single parent with 2 small children, suffered through 3 divorces, and never seemed to let it get her down. She has a great sense of humor, and her love of the absurd is always entertaining. Her intelligence, her curious mind, and her love of books and movies that she shares with me, and her ability with crossword puzzles all are things that I admire about her. And then, more importantly, her loyalty and commitment to family and friends. She's the one who orchestrated this Cape family reunion that we're at right now. That's been going on for 25 years. I was always impressed with her loyalty to her lawyer friend who was in some prison in Pennsylvania, and she would go down there every year to visit him, or maybe more often, I'm not sure, but I thought that was pretty nice of her. She's always the one to initiate calls and keep in touch with all of us. She was the one who always had the dinner parties and the family holiday gatherings when she lived in Newton. And when any of us needed a place to live at some point in our lives, we always moved in with Sal. So lots of things to admire about her. Her independence and her ability to make her own fun, travel alone, and enjoy it is impressive to me. I tried it in Germany and failed miserably, but she went off to the Taj Mahal by herself and seemed to enjoy it. Her willingness to keep active and work out is admirable at her age. Not many people her age can do what she does. She looks fabulous. She has determination and willfulness. When she was young, she always stood up to our father and wouldn't give him the satisfaction of crying, although one time she was sent to bed without her dinner and she cried. But that was the only time. And she has great skills as a cook and an entertainer. So knowing Sally has never been boring for those of us who've been fortunate enough to have her bright light in our lives. No doubt she'll constantly surprise us with her next adventure, project, or bit of mischief. I'm looking forward to the next surprise. I love you, Sal. And happy 70th birthday.
So I was going to tell a story, and first I'll preface the story by saying that I've always thought my Aunt Sally has been amazing. She's an inspiration that I'll never be able to even halfway live up to with all of her traveling and success with her career. She's just totally incredible, and I hear my dad bragging about her all the time to all of his friends. I think his friends are probably so sick of hearing about his big sister because he's obviously just so proud and impressed with her and always has been. So all of her traveling and her career success has been something that I've always thought was so amazing and cool of her. And my story speaks to how tough she is. So when I first graduated, maybe I was in college, but I had my first apartment out of my parents' house. So I was super scared. Every night I would cower in my house. I didn't have any roommates, and I was just waiting for someone to come in and rape and kill me, which I thought was inevitable. Probably in the neighborhood I was living in, it was inevitable, but somehow I escaped that. So I went to my Aunt Sally's house, and she told me that she never locked the doors. And I said, "What? You never lock your doors, even at night?" "Yeah, I never lock my doors. I don't even lock it at night." And I said, "Well, aren't you so scared? What if in this huge big house all by yourself, aren't you so afraid someone's going to come in and rob you or rape you or kidnap you or something?" And she said, "No, once I walked into my house and there was a guy who was in the house, obviously robbing me. And as soon as I saw him, I just took off after him, and I knew if I'd got my hands on him, I would have killed him. And then I knew I never had to be scared again." And I thought, whoa, if I came into my house and I saw someone, I would run so far away from the house. And she said, "No, I paid for that house. I worked for for my money to buy that house. I wasn't just going to let him come in and steal the house, steal all my things." So that I thought was super impressive. And that was before she was even living in the West Bank and Afghanistan and Sarajevo. So now I'm just totally blown away with how impressive and tough she is. But she's always been that way. Happy birthday, Sally.
Wow, 70 years of age. Sally, what can you say? God, I wish I had half her energy at 70 years of age. I wish I had half of her looks as well. Yeah. Sal, yeah, you really pull it all together, you really do. Wherever we are, you're the one that makes the suggestion that says, let's do it, let's try this, let's go there, let's do that. And yeah, you really do motivate us. I'm proud of you. Keep on doing what you're doing. Don't stop. And just keep going, Sal. Happy 70th birthday.
Hi, Sally. I'm reminiscing about you, and I am remembering when we first met. I think John was moving into his apartment on West Washington Street in Madison, and you came by with a friend who I think's name was John Surratt, and you were, a little bit older, a little more sophisticated, and you just didn't have much time for me. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a great relationship, because I kind of knew where that relationship with John was going. But I would say your primary characteristic is being extremely loyal to family and extremely loyal to friends. I think you value that more than anyone I know, except maybe myself. And here's an example of your loyalty. I know how completely squeamish you are about yucky, icky things, and particularly about illness. And when Ethan was about 20 months old, he had his first asthma attack, was in the hospital. I was there day and night for a couple of days, came home, was exhausted. It was before the days of child-proof medicine. And I went in another room to call somebody and say he was okay while he was chugging away at his cherry-colored, flavored speed, basically, that he was taking for the asthma. And I called the doctor and got somebody who was on call who said, "You better work fast, lady," at which point I dropped the phone, and he's going, lady. I got Ipecac, was giving it to him. It was horrible. I was terrified. I couldn't reach John. I called you, and you did not hesitate. You came over immediately. You sat in the next room while he threw up and threw up and threw up and threw up. And you'd go, ew, that's horrible. Yeah. But you stayed. You stayed through it with me, and I feel like you are the most dependable friend anybody could ever have. And I really love you. Happy birthday.
Hi, Sally. Happy 70th birthday. Gosh, I can't believe you're 70. You don't look a day over 40. So I carry on your name, but I can only hope to look as amazing as you as I get older. So happy birthday. I admire you so much, Sal, for everything you've done over in Afghanistan, your travels, and I think all of us read those stories and just can't believe that you're brave enough to go back. So it's amazing what you've done, and I enjoy the stories, and keep them coming. In terms of just remembering something as a child, when I was younger about you, I was extremely afraid of aliens when I was a kid. I had just seen that movie Fire in the Sky that came out, back in I think it was early 90s. I must have been in 5th grade. And we were on our way to the Cape, and my mom said, "Oh, well, you're going to meet a few of Sal's interesting friends." I had no idea what to expect, but we, went over to the Cape House that you were staying in. There was hors d'oeuvres and wine being served. I remember just sitting down. I think Kasia was there, and my mom, sitting down next to a woman, and she proceeded to tell me how she was abducted by aliens. Needless to say, I had met quite a few of these alien abductees at this party. It was amusing to my mom, I think, just to watch it happen, even though at the time I didn't know what to think. But after that party, I don't remember being afraid of aliens anymore. So I do thank you for that. Anyway, Sally, I hope you have a wonderful 70th birthday. I know Malcolm has worked really hard on this project. And we will talk to you soon.
My sister Sally is turning 70 years old. You would not believe that this woman is 70 years old. She has more energy. She's more spunk. She's so adventurous. She is just loves life. And I really admire those qualities about her, because I don't have anywhere near her energy, even though I'm 8 years younger. Can't keep up with her. Sally is also very vivacious and attractive for her age. She's more like a 50-year-old. And she's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun with her. We've loved when she's come to visit us in Tanzania, in Egypt, in Mozambique. It's been great fun. I think her visit to Mozambique actually was a turning point in her life too, because then she decided she wanted to do overseas work as well. And so we have a lot of things in common that way, not only career, but living overseas. And now my daughter is going to be going, Chloe is going to be going to spend 3 months in Sarajevo with Sally, which is, I think, going to be a great experience for both of them. And I hope that they bond and become even closer than they already are. But now as Chloe's more of an adult, she can relate to Sally as Sally and not Aunt Sally. So I don't know, the fact that she's turning 70 is, it's nice to have a birthday, but hard to believe that it's a 70th birthday with Sal, because she is just so young and full of life. Happy birthday, Sal. I hope you have a great one, and can't wait to have more adventures with you in far-flung countries.
Some of my fondest memories of Aunt Sally are the Christmas and Thanksgiving parties she used to throw at her house on Prescott Street in Newton. I just remember it being very comforting going to that house during the holidays, probably because we did it every year, but also, there was a certain smell to the house, and Sally always had these exotic paintings on the wall. I remember the one of Frida, and then there was another one above the fireplace. Things just didn't seem to change, and I liked that. And she would always make the Christmas and Thanksgiving parties fun, whether that was, cooking an elaborate meal with a big pig with an apple in it, and I thought that was kind of funny given all of her kids were vegetarians. Or I have a picture of all of us dressed in toilet paper singing Christmas carols. There's a picture of like Toby and all the aunts and all of the cousins, all the women singing. And I have a feeling that was Sally's idea, because she always liked to have a lot of fun and think up these, kind of spunky ideas for the holidays or any time. Sally likes to laugh and have a good time. So So I have a lot of fond memories of that. And she also used to give me, Sally, I remember you giving me foot massages. Sometimes we'd exchange, but most of the time you would do it without even expecting me to give you a foot massage back. And I think that might have been your way of trying to bond with me and get stories out of me, which maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I remember that fondly. So no, but Sally, you've always been like the fun, spunky aunt. You always speak your mind, and I've always admired your confidence in your opinions and your passion for what you do. I recently met, your friend from Bosnia, and right now his name is blank. I'm blanking on his name, but we've talked about him a lot. And I remember the guy who got his law degree at Harvard. And I remember when I first met him, he described you as a really neat woman. He said he would usually not describe expats in Bosnia trying to, save Bosnians as neat. But he said that you were different than most of them. He said you were really intelligent, knew your stuff. You were a hard worker, and you were really trying to make a difference in Bosnia, unlike a lot of other Americans who lived there and claimed such. So I wasn't surprised by the compliment, and it made me reflect on what a great role model you've always been, which is a very strong and brave woman. Happy birthday.
Not everyone has a aunt as lively as mine. The kind of person who stands out as fearless. And I have to say, I feel lucky. I have the kind of aunt in Aunt Sally that most people don't have a chance to know and love. The kind of person who can show you what it is to have courage. Courage to do a lot of things. Courage to go and travel to parts of the world that my feet will never tread. Courage to take on subjects that, lo, even my own parents were afraid to get into. If you were to ask me who taught me the birds and the bees in one slightly awkward conversation, it would be my Aunt Sally, because she's fearless, and I love her for it. I guess it's my pleasure to wish her a happy birthday because I have a really special aunt who I love dearly. Happy birthday, Sally.
I love telling people that Sally is my mother-in-law because, first of all, she looks so amazing. No one believes that she's actually old enough to be a grandmother. And second of all, because I get to say things like, oh, my mother-in-law who lives in Sarajevo, or my mother-in-law who's in Afghanistan right now, or my mother-in-law who just got back from Romania. And it adds a little bit of glamour to my otherwise kind of suburban life. But I also love her. I think she's a terrific role model in terms of her sense of adventure and her willingness to go to all these places and her independent spirit. And I really also appreciate that she shares that with her grandchildren, bringing Marisol the dolls and the boys the flags and the shirts, and we can look at the map, all the places she's been, and when she comes to visit, she's always got lots of photos and stories of her adventures, and I think it's really terrific, and I really admire her independence and her adventurous spirit. And another thing I really admire and appreciate about Sally is her loyalty to her family and kind of really bringing everyone together. I think, she's the one who really seems to drive the family reunions at Cape Cod, and I certainly felt very welcome very early on and very much included, and that was largely because of her, and I really appreciate that, and I really admire that ability to bring the family together like that. So happy birthday, Sally. You have a wonderful 70th birthday and many more to come.
Happy birthday, Sally. I'm so privileged to be part of this party. And one of the first things I remember about you is that you collect men and animals and keep some longer than others. And animals are very lucky to be with you. And another thing is that when I had my hip replacement, you were here and you helped me a lot, and you built a fire when I came home. It was nice to have, and then you suggested that we go to the National Gallery and march around on the granite floors, and then after that we could go horseback riding. Another thing I remember is that you are still looking everywhere for tailored pork roll, a product that made everyone in my family quite ill. This opportunity has also showed me why I was not allowed to read for the blind. Cheers.
I have to say my fondest memories of Sally were when we were roommates in Bosnia. She was so easygoing and tried to accommodate, introduced me to a lot of kids my age and let me kind of do my own thing, which I really appreciated when I was 17. I feel like I really got to know Sarajevo on my own because she was so easygoing. My favorite memory from Bosnia was when we were searching for the Red Cross camp that I was going to volunteer as a camp counselor at, and we had no idea how to find it. And while we were driving around aimlessly, we came across a white van with a Red Cross on it. And so we decided we might as well follow the van since we had no idea where we were going. So we're following the van, and he starts going up this back road, this dirt road up a mountain, and somehow we flagged him down, and Sally jumps out, he jumps out, and they started conversing. He didn't speak any English, so she was kind of speaking, she knew a little bit of Bosnian, and he, I think, understood what she was saying. He seemed a little confused, but after, a couple minutes of that, she told me, okay, get in the van with this guy. And so I, being 17, a little naive, I decided to jump in. But of course I asked, well, is it going to the camp? She said, I'm pretty sure. So I trusted her enough that I got in the van, and luckily we ended up at the camp, and it was a great time. I met lots of girls my age who were Bosnian, and I had an incredible experience. All in all, enough that I want to go back again. Living with Sally was fun. It was fun to see her and her cats interacting and in their element. She has a beautiful apartment in Sarajevo. And I think we got along great. I think our personalities matched up wonderfully. And I hope you have a wonderful birthday. Happy birthday. I can't believe you're 70. You look awesome. Thanks for everything.
When I meet people, whether it's work people, friends, whatever, often the conversation comes around to my mom, even if they have no connection to her. She's just probably the most interesting person I have ever met. There are so many stories to tell about my mom. How many people's 70-year-old mothers were recently living in Afghanistan, Bosnia, and the other exotic places that my mom has lived? So it's all, that's just one example, but I'm struck by how often I find myself talking about my mom. My mom has been, without question, the most influential person in my life. I was talking with a friend, Brenda, recently, who was like, wow, you've turned out exactly as your mom planned. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And the more I thought about it, she raised us to have very strong values, obviously raising us as a Quaker, but always talking about social issues. And so we were really raised with that, and that's something that I have definitely made a core part of me. Where I went to graduate school, that was my mom. The person I married, my mom introduced me to. The college, I didn't go to the college that was on her list, but in so many ways, my mom has had such an influence on me. Love Trident cinnamon gum. Used to drink 4 Diet Cokes a day. Pared it down a little. I know my mom likes Diet Pepsi, but still the diet soda. Exercising, going to Venezuela. Mom went to Mexico, obviously, but going to a Spanish-speaking country. There's so many ways that she has influenced me and made me the person I am today. And I will always be incredibly grateful for that. My mom is one of the most generous people you can imagine. It's hard to even put into words how she's influenced me and made my life better.
I'm actually very pleased to be doing this about my sister Sally. I've obviously known Sally my whole life. She's been a force in my life, for good or for bad, for 67 years now. I'm not exactly sure how she greeted my birth, but I do know that at a very young age, she realized that in her little brother, she had a companion, a punching bag, someone to step on wasps that appeared in her room, someone that she could depend on to rise to every bait she threw in front of me. But this is really not about me, it's about Sally. Having said all that, I want to say that Sally, I admire my sister immensely, and I always have. Sally is about one of the bravest people I know. And she's always been one of the bravest people I know. The viewers of this may not know this, but we didn't have the best dad in the world, not even close. And he used to, wail on us occasionally. And I was terrified of him, and I lived in perpetual fear of him. And I think, Sally must have been a little bit scared of him, but it didn't make any difference. She would challenge my father and go up against him at any opportunity. It would be, it was almost as if she was going to, best him, which, he was bigger and stronger and nastier. But that didn't intimidate her. She still was ready to challenge him. My mother obviously had some problems with math because at the end of dinner she would produce one extra dessert. And my father would sort of expect to have the dessert for himself, and Sally would challenge him for the extra dessert. Well, of course, I was just considered myself lucky if I got away from the dinner table without getting slapped. So, I wasn't going after that dessert. But she challenged my father. She challenged authority. She had a strong sense of righteousness and justice and fairness. I remember when she graduated from high school, she had this friend, I can't even remember this girl's name, who was a friend of hers from Titusville, who got pregnant in high school. And in those days, getting pregnant in high school wasn't quite as acceptable as it is today. And the friend was sort of ostracized by everyone except for Sally, who went out of her way to make sure the friend knew that she wasn't going to ostracize her, to the extent that Sally invited her friend to her high school graduation. That was the only friend, and Sally had lots of friends, that she invited to her high school graduation. Sally went on to be a courageous and incredible person. She was active in supporting civil rights very early and helped influence me in that, and certainly provided a model for me for struggling for racial justice. She just, I guess the strongest thing I can say about my sister Sally, and the most meaningful thing I can say about my sister Sally, is that she had a strong sense of social justice. She had a very strong sense of, I won't say she would always have a politically sophisticated sense of social justice. More than that, she was a very loyal friend. I don't know anybody who had as many friends in jail as my sister Sally did. Most people who have acquaintances that go to jail kind of drop those acquaintances. But Sally seems to become even more a friend after an acquaintance went to jail. She not only befriended those in prison, she just has a strong sense of being a friend means sticking by one and being there for someone. You always felt with my sister Sally, as a little kid, I felt that, I wouldn't say how much as a little kid I felt she had my back as that she was beating on my back. But as I grew up, I came to believe that she really, in the end, had my back. And I think most people who know Sally will feel that she had their back, that she was there for them. As we used to say, come the revolution, you would want Sally to be loading for you. She just is she is such a good friend, and she's a courageous friend, and she's a friend that will stand by you and stand by the people she cares about, and will stand up to anyone. I feel sorry for anyone who gets in her way, and I understand why the State Department would want to send her to Afghanistan. You know, I didn't want her in Afghanistan. I was nervous the whole time she was there, but so was the Taliban. And that's my opinion, my sister Sally. Sally, you know I love you, and happy 70th birthday.
I love my mom so much, and I think she has all sorts of wonderful, fascinating, and otherwise noteworthy traits that I could go on about at great length if I had unlimited time. But I don't, so to mark her 70th birthday, I'd like to talk about just one thing I've observed about my mother during our 43 years together that I have always particularly admired. A sort of life philosophy of hers that I can summarize in just 2 words. Why not? Because when I think about my mom's life, it just seems that so many of the decisions she's made, the things she's done, and the paths she's chosen have been animated by this idea. Why not? She's always been open to new possibilities and has looked at any new opportunity for its potential instead of automatically assuming that the path of least resistance is the best path, or to take it for granted that a closed door is closed for a good reason. In situations where most other people would probably say, I don't think I should do that, my mother has always seemed to say, why not? And I think that's pretty amazing. I think a lot of this has to do with my mom's spirit of adventure. Traveling unaccompanied when she just graduated high school to spend a year in some remote town in rural Mexico, even though she didn't speak any Spanish. Dragging her first husband on their honeymoon to Cartagena, Colombia, and insisting they fly up to Venezuela to see Angel Falls. Leaving behind her comfortable suburban married life with a maid to go to law school and be a single working mom. Packing her school-age children into a rented Chrysler Volare to drive thousands of miles all over the American West without having a real clear plan for where to go or even where to sleep along the way. Taking up running late in her 30s, never having run before, and within a few years running marathons. Or shifting careers late in life to go live in Sarajevo and assist in Bosnia's shift from communism to democracy. Going to live in the West Bank and Afghanistan, places most Americans only hear about from the nightly news, and not good stories either. The list just goes on and on. And yet, I'm sure that at practically every juncture, there was someone who said to my mom, why on earth would you do that? And even though she may not have actually said so, I'm sure her thinking was, well, why not? Now, I hope that my kids will learn from their grandmother's example and will appreciate what a unique, special Nana they have, and that one of her legacies to them will be to understand that life is filled with opportunities, new experiences, and the potential for adventure, and it's up to us whether we choose to seize those opportunities, chase those experiences, and explore the potential for adventure that life throws at us. I mean, why not, right, Mom? Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little tribute. I love you very much, Mom, and hope you have a happy 70th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sally. Happy 70th birthday.
And happy 70th birthday.
Happy 70th birthday.
Happy birthday, Aunt Sally. Can you say happy birthday?
Happy birthday, Aunt Sally.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sally. I hope you have a wonderful 70th birthday.
And happy 70th birthday.
Happy birthday, Sal.
Happy birthday, Sally.
Happy 70th birthday, Sally.
Happy 70th birthday, Mom.
Sally, I hope you have a wonderful 70th birthday.
Happy 70th birthday.
And I hope you have a wonderful birthday.
Happy birthday, Nana. Happy birthday, Nana.
When I was a little butterfly, I wasn't off to the best start. I flew right into a big wet puddle and would not have gotten far. Little wings stuck to the pavement amidst pedestrians and cars. But you spotted me and picked me up, 'cause that's the way you are, that's the way. Well, you took me in and dried me off, and I wondered what I did to deserve a spot in your loving heart. Now you're never getting rid of me, and I could search the whole wide world till my feet hurt for a friend like you. And I could make it a full-time task. I don't think anyone would pass, 'cause I love you more than I could ever think. most anything. Winter, spring, summer, fall, Tupperware and fudge. And your little butterfly flew crooked, but you loved me just as much. And you said, take my love with you, this will always be your home. You may flutter off in crooked flight, but you will never be alone. And I know I would have to search the whole wide world till my feet hurt for a friend like you. And I could make it a full-time task. I don't think anyone would pass, 'cause I love you more than I could ever sing, more than most anything. La 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 la. Maybe one day I'll be famous, and maybe one day I'll be rich, and I will buy you a mansion and some German kitchen knives. But just in case that doesn't happen, I wrote this song here to remind